Hello YouTube, it's Purple Fox back with another Apex Legends video. Today's video will cover Kings Canyon top 5 landing spots. Since the release of Season 5, the new map changes, many players such as myself have been dropping at a lot of different locations. Now this makes things interesting and fun to find the new quirks of the map, but it also makes things very difficult when it comes to your looting and your rotation knowledge. It makes it very difficult because you're not able to master the loot in the location, and then it leaves you very vulnerable when trying to make the next rotation that you don't know what the path is. So these 5 locations are my favorite to land so far in Season 5, and I believe will be very advantageous for you as well. Alright, to start off, the top 5 landing spots of Season 5 is Salvage. Salvage is a new location that Respawn added over in the area where Skulltown has now fallen into the ocean, the water area outside, that kind of taken inside out of the map, and it's a very hot landing spot. The reason why it kind of falls at number 5 is 1, it's new. 2, I like landing there, and the reason I like landing there is because if you can get a pretty decent gun off the start, your chances are you're probably gonna be able to get a nice few kills, 2-3 kills coming out of there. If you know your squad's landing with you and they land well and possibly get loot, because the loot is limited there. There's only a few buildings, 4, 5, 6 buildings there, couple pills that are laying around there that you can loot. So the loot is limited. It makes things interesting, kind of keeps you on your feet. So landing there kind of mix things up, really gets you a hot drop. It's probably my favorite hot drop so far this season. And number 4 on the list is Rig. Now, the reason why Rig is number 4 is 1, again, it's a new location, so it makes things interesting land there. But I like landing there because my buddy Chuck, usually someone within most games, are going to run Loba. She's a new character, and there's a strategy that you can run there because underneath the big crane that is kind of part of the location, the very middle of Rig is a charge station, and landing up top, if you're able to clear out the top from enemies and all 3 of your teammates or you and your duo can land up there, you're able to clear it out, grab a couple guns maybe that are up there. There's usually a gun or 2, there's usually a shield or 2 for your teammate, but then you can pop the charge to get Loba's alt in the black market, and then you can use a black market to just yoink an R99 from across Rig and a blue shield or purple shield across Rig while the other team is kind of looting and trying to find that stuff. You're able to get the necessities right off the bat, you know, and so this is a huge strat that's able to be used at Rig with Loba. You know, if you don't have Loba, it's still not a bad idea to land there and get your ultimate right off the bat. I mean, if you're a Gibby, you have your ultimate there of the bombardment, which it can be crucial in a team that decides to push you. You just throw your dome up there. You have high ground. That Rig center is the center of everything, but it is the high ground. Now there is one area off to the if you look towards not wetlands, I apologize, swamp, sorry, and if you look in that direction, there's that building that has kind of 3-4 entryways that can it can get height on that building and look into the center and kind of get shots on you, but still the Rig at the center is ultimate high ground. Things are interesting there. A lot of people land there, so it's kind of a hot drop as well, so you're able to get a few kills coming out of there usually, which can always boost your ego and confidence moving into the mid and late game of a game. Now, number 3 is an unnamed spot, an unnamed location. It's hard to describe, but it's between Salvage or where the skull bone is in the middle that you can kind of take the zip line to, and between Octane's area. It's like 3 buildings, and a couple pills, and then a like drop ship kind of. And the reason why I like this a lot is because it's kind of secluded. It's not real well known. It's not really hot. This is probably my favorite spot to land with a duo. Now landing there with the trios is going to be tricky because there isn't that much loot, but when it comes to landing with a duos, it is a great landing spot. And the reason for that is because you're able to get enough loot for the 2 of you, relatively decent at most times, And then if you need to, you can loot to towards market side. There's a couple little complexes that you're able to loot going towards market that you can continue to get what you need from those. Or if you have what you need, a lot of people like to land hot over in Octane's area, and you can push right into Octane's area and get nice third parties out of it. I've done it a lot. I do it quite often. In the video here at the very beginning, you see the area that I'm talking about. It's this unknown kind of area. I highly recommend landing here if you're going with duos. This spot, again, it's not contested. It gives you the opportunity to get what you need and move into an advantageous situation in gunfight to get yourself a couple points, a couple chips, a couple third party off the start of the game to get confident to move into the end game as well. And number 2 is good old slums. There's been no changes here. I just happen to be landing here more and more since my prior home in Apex was wetlands and towards relay area. I loved landing there. They took that out. They added rig, and I love rig, but they did take my home away. And so I've been venturing out towards slums, landing at slums quite a bit. In trios, I enjoy this because one person can land up top, is where I usually land, in that top building up there at slums. It's sometimes contested, it's sometimes not. Most of the time it is contested, but the person's only able to loot the bottom floor. So if you're able to land out on the balcony, where I tend to land all the time, and grab a gun and then move into that top floor and just happen to get a shield, the person down below, there's a little window that you can watch the stairs that they would come up to contest you, that you can chip them, get a couple shots on just before they come up. Most people don't really know about this window that you're able to get into, but it's a wonderful spot to get these chip shots and really throw someone off guard when they're trying to push you in slums. Another reason I like slums is because it has these alleyways on the left and right side, basically, and then the zip line down the middle going to the far end, another building that is very prevalent to be landed at, especially if there's another team contesting and you're able to get the top building. Someone probably is going to land at that end building because it has pretty decent loot. So what we usually do with my teammates, if I'm in a trios, one lands on the left alley, the other lands on the right alley, I land at the top, and I usually tend to run to the right side, because what that allows is the back wall of the map, basically the mountain side, is to my back and to our back. And so when I land to the right side, I try to hook up with my teammate. I stay with them, because usually at that point everyone's kind of getting their loot and they're going to start making that push to get that first squad swipe. So what this allows is, hopefully, if you can get your one early knock in this first squad that comes with you, if there is a squad with you, and usually there's at least one squad, you have the key advantage to swiping this squad right off the bat. And this is why this is easy points for people playing ranked. It's easy points for, again, people playing ranked, and especially if there's multiple squads. It is tricky in slums if there's 3 or 4 squads. It gets really intense, really hot, and you have very limited resources if there are 3 to 4 squads in there. But with 1 to 2 squads, you and maybe 2 other squads, like 3 squads, that's pushing it. But in a 1-to-1 squad match, there's plenty of loot for you to get the key essentials, at least, to be able to get a knock, to get an early kill, or to be competitive within the engagement and gunfight. And so finally, number 1 on my list of favorite landing spots is labs. Wraith's lab has got this remodeling rework that they added in. They added several buildings. I've absolutely loved landing there for multiple reasons. One, the loot is great. I love landing up top. I don't like going down into labs directly off the rip. What I like to do is I like to land at the very top, right behind the mountainside. What that again allows me to have the mountainside to my back, and basically, if I'm able to get to that building first, everyone else is in front of me, going down into the labs. And so this gives me a good funnel, a good direction to keep everyone in front of me, so I'm not getting shot in the back, so I'm not getting in this cross-firing range. So I land at this top building, I loot through it, I grab a couple of the pills that have loot within them, I hit a couple of the buildings if it's not contested. Most of the time, people try to funnel into the lab right away. So what my squad usually tries to do, I like to land here in trios, is 2 will land outside and 1 will land inside. Chuck usually lands inside because He just does. So usually Greg and I will land outside, and then we will push in to help Chuck. We try to loot as fast as get our essentials and move in. And what that allows is us to basically pinch a team pardon me, pinch a team from the front of where you go into labs and the portal side. So basically Chuck tries to get a gun and a shield and pushes all the way back to where the portal starts. And so what that does is they push him and he has them in front of him, and then we push behind them and we pinch them, and then 9 times out of 10 you're usually able to get a pretty easy squad wipe by using this strategy. And then from there, I love the rotations out of labs, and the reason for that is because now they added this connector, this underground passage that goes into the capacitor. Sorry, the new area that they've added. I don't like landing capacitor alone because it's down in this like valley area, and so this basically gives anyone that lands above you easy height. Anyone that tries a third party, it gives them easy third party height and able to pick on shots on you that just gives you this massive disadvantage. But one thing that labs allows is basically an easy way out. We were able to go out into capacitor, make these fights in third party at this point, because teams are going to land there. It's a pretty hot spot. It's got good loot. So you can push from labs into capacitor and be the third party on these initial fights that are going on over there. Try to swipe. Most of the time you're going to. I have good odds there. So we swipe the squad in capacitor. And while you're looting, what this is probably going to do is going to draw other people from either rig or over by the waterfall where relay kind of is. And it's going to draw people in. And so what you can do essentially is disengage by running back through labs and just hitting the Wraith portal that kind of takes them out, and then you can just switch, and you got high ground. You fly right over and you can take high ground up by farms. In this rotation, this strategy of being able to pinch a team, third party a team, and then be able to get yourself out of a third party if it comes to it, and reverse to take the high ground to then engage in this advantage of a fight that the team was going to third party you. This maneuvering is so crucial and so key in the start of a game. The first probably 5-10 minutes, I'd say 5 to 7 minutes even. This is all in like the first 5 to 7 minutes, and this is so crucial because you're easily able to get 3 or 4 kills if everything goes accordingly. Obviously you're hitting your shots and nothing wacky happens, but just the strategy alone gives you this advantage. I've had this happen so many times so far in Season 5, and it's just been a great way for myself and my teammates to land and make labs home. Gives you a good rotation spot, gives you the way to third party, and really capitalize on the advantage that the environment gives you in Apex.
You have them all.
I do. They're gonna push me, so. Oh shit. On me, crack one, crack the Loba. Got them both cracked. Got one left.
Not one.
I'm sorry, Chuck. I wanted to finish better than that, right?